Hey guys, welcome back to another video of me making a random dress that I just really feel like making. And today's on the agenda, a summer flower dress. And to make a flower dress, we are gonna need some pink satiny fabric. Look, it's so shiny. As well as some flower fabric. Now, I really like some of these flower prints, like this blue one, but then also the white one. Unfortunately, this is all the fabric I have. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make a bodice or like a corset from those two pieces of the white because I didn't have enough of that blue stuff. So we're just gonna make it work. I basically traced out each of the pattern pieces in chalk first, so you can see those faint lines there before cutting them out. And this was to check that I had enough fabric to actually make it work and to plan out where I should place each piece. I do want to note that especially these pieces that you want to mark them properly, but you also want to keep them in the right direction, considering it's really easy to turn them around and get it all mixed up. So just keep that in mind and give your pieces a good iron, because as you can see, I really need to iron my pieces, but then we can continue on. Also, just a side note, I will be adding a lining just with a plain white fabric, so that gives me a nice finished edge at the top there when I put it all together. Okay, so let's get started by sewing the cups together. So first we are doing these two, and then we are attaching that one. Now, because this is extremely teeny tiny, I am going to be hand sewing this, and the other pieces will be sewed together with the sewing machine. But for now, I'm just gonna peacefully do some hand sewing. Now, when sewing, don't forget to put the right sides together and have the cup pieces that belong together. Like I mentioned earlier on, maybe mark them or something. And then once they are sewn together, you can flip over the top part and sew that on as well with the right sides together. And these are the cups, what they are currently looking like. So yeah, I am going to put these aside for now. Put them aside there. And the next step is actually sewing the corset all together. So let me just get you in the right position. Basically, I'm going to be working from the middle out, because I like doing it that way. I am going to attach those. So we've sewed the center front and the side center front. Now we're adding the side front pieces. And we're going to do the side back pieces now. Followed with the back pieces. And finally, we're going to be adding the cups. And just remember to keep the cups their respective left and right, so keep that in mind. And then flipping them downwards and just sewing them in. Now, this was so tiny that I decided just to skip the pinning and go from the middle to one side and then back from the middle towards the other side. And I did that for both of the cups. And this is what you should be left with, a beautiful looking corset with cups. Now we're going to be making a second one in a lining fabric. So I just chose a plain white since it matched perfectly. Well, perfectly, you know what I mean. Now it was the exact same steps. I've gone ahead, sewn them, same thing, cups by hand, everything else with the sewing machine. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be attaching this around the top and the two sides, leaving the bottom open. That's going to be for turning. So I'm just going to take my time and lining up all the edges so that I can pin them in place and then sew it on the sewing machine. Now keep in mind that the cups are a little bit challenging since they are small, but just go nice and slow. If you don't trust yourself, just do a really small back stitch by hand. That is completely fine too, keeping that in mind. Although for the big side pieces, you can definitely use the sewing machine. Cutting ASMR, anyone? No? Okay, well, we'll skip over that. Anyway, I am just going around each of the edges and curves, making really small clips. Do not cut through the stitching. Just a little note, don't cut through them. But just make little clips in them so you can turn the piece inside out without there being like any, well, you might have some bulk, but without it being like bunching and it doesn't lay smooth. That is the point of clipping, so that it releases the seam to be turned inside out. Also, again, sorry about the birds. They'll be quiet as soon as I stop talking, basically. But it's okay. I love them, so they're allowed to make noise. Anyway, we're just gonna be turning this inside out and just making sure to push those corners out, making it nice and flat, having everything lay in there smoothly before pinning that in place so that we can do a top stitch all the way around.
So yes, this is how we are looking. I'm going to do some top stitching around here, and then I am going to line the bottom up as well, so I can do some decorative top stitching along the edges of each of the seams. Now I'm saying decorative, but in reality they should have a reason. If I were to make this in a bigger version, I would do the top stitching so I can make channels to put boning into. Now because this is such a small scale, I am not going to put any boning in there, or you could use like zip ties as well, just anything that's a bit stronger. I am not going to put that in here, but my thought process is that it looks really beautiful, plus it does strengthen it a little bit. So that is going to be my next step. And then after that we'll make some grommet holes and put those in and lace it up. And this is now that I have sewn all my little detailing lines, which you can sort of see, just all along there. I thought I'd done a really good job at lining it up because I'd lined up the bottom, but looking at the back, I am a little bit off on each of those seams, but I'm okay with that. It's the back anyway. Now I do want to note that these cups became quite small after sewing them, and with the hem there, and they are a little bit on the small side for her currently. So I'll adjust that pattern, or at least I'll do my best to give a bit more height. I won't guarantee it since my patterns are never perfect, but I will try adjust that for you. The other thing is I tried it on and we have quite a bit of overlap here in the back, so I'll adjust the pattern there as well just to straighten that out a bit more but I'll check that fully once I've actually done the lacing up. Yeah, so that is what we are currently looking like. I am pretty happy with that. So the next bit is that we are going to add some grommets, and then we need to do the edging, and the edging will probably be some bias tape or something. You can also use this straight to attach the skirt to it, but I'm gonna keep it separate.
Now I didn't film this, but I did add the grommets and the bias binding at the bottom. Now let's continue with the skirt. Okay, so I'm using some scrap fabric that I have from the pink, but as I'm realizing I'm putting on my back piece, which needs to be on full, this is gonna take a lot of fabric, since apparently I like to hate myself. So I came up with an alternative, because I have another pink fabric. This one here. It is slightly off color. You don't really see it, but there's like texture difference. On camera you don't really see it, but in reality this one is darker. Now I thought, why don't I choose this one? Turns out I have exactly the same amount and I run into the same issue. So yeah, now I'm going to do the back pieces in this fabric and the front pieces in this fabric, or the other way around. It depends which one I like more, and if I can get the front pieces out of the back pieces out of this one, since I do like this fabric more. So yeah, that's gonna take some patchwork, and then we'll find out how it goes, but we're gonna make a really full skirt today. And the back piece barely fits on the scrap that I have of that lighter pink. Oh, I accidentally pinned that in, so I've got to unpin that. But here you can see it goes to the edge there and right at the edge here. So I do have a little bit of fabric here, which I can still work with. But yeah, the back piece is just gigantic, which I just managed to fit on. So happy about that. Now just keep in mind that this is on the center back fold. This is not on fold. So I actually couldn't get mine straight because of the fabric. So I'm actually just going to cut right along there, which works out perfectly.
And these are the two pieces that you should end up with. I just put them over the top of each other so you can see the difference between the front piece and the back piece. And that's because the back piece has like a train. But basically, if I just take that off, we spread that out and we place this one in there. Yeah, ignore the messiness right now. That is how it's gonna end up. So since you can actually see the color difference now, but it's okay, we'll hide that. Now for closure, I'm thinking of possibly adding a zipper on one side or just having like a simple snap. I don't know yet, depends what I feel like when I'm sewing. But basically what we need to do is, since we cut both of the center on fold, there's no center back seam to worry about. We are going to be lining the sides up and sewing those closed and adding a waistband, and that's the skirt done. But we are not done yet. Other than hemming, we are gonna add something fun. So yeah, let's just sew those sides.
So I've just finished the skirt and I place it on a stand and just keeping it in place with a couple of pins, as you can see. I have hemmed it with a rolled hem because I don't really want any extra bulk, and the top there is done with a bias binding, same as the corset. Now I do have these flowers, which I bought specifically, there we go, for this project. And now it comes the tedious part of cutting off every single flower and gluing them on. And just a little side note, I did end up getting more flowers because this was not enough. But it was fun and I really loved seeing it come together in the end. But it just took a little while, just taking each single flower off and saving the leaves. I wasn't really sure if I was going to use the leaves, but I did end up using them since it gave it the little extra touch that I wanted it to have. Now I did grab some more flowers from the store, but this is the final result. Just look at her being all beautiful, majestic, flower queen. Just perfect. I absolutely love it. It is so beautiful, so flowery, so full, and just the area that I found with so many flowers was just perfect. And I just had to do the photo shoot amongst the flowers, and just seeing all her pink and blue and purple, it was amazing. I had so much fun. I do hope you enjoyed this video as well. If you have any ideas for future projects, please comment them down below. I would love to know. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really helps me out. And I will see you all next time. Bye!